Have you ever felt like life was silently skipping a chapter meant for you? Like love stood still, just beyond reach, while time moved on without pause? And in that quiet, did your soul ever whisper, "Is something wrong, or is this solitude part of something sacred?" There's a path few speak about, one that echoes not with answers, but with ancient questions. Questions not asked aloud, yet louder than any noise. Why does love feel distant? Why does union remain a dream? Why, even as seasons pass, does marriage never arrive? At first, the mind interprets this as lack, a void, a deviation from what should have been. But beneath that silence, something else stirs, a deeper wondering. Is this absence punishment, or is it a quiet calling? Zen and Buddhist philosophy invite us to see through different eyes. In these teachings, marriage is not viewed as a required destination. It is not a badge of worth, and its absence is not a sign of failure. Instead, it may be a karmic doorway, a sacred pause misread by those rushing toward the noise of companionship. Because karma, unlike a mirror, does not simply reflect, it guides, like a compass. You are not punished for your karma, you are shaped by your karma. That one line changes everything. Karma isn't a judge, seated in the heavens handing out fate. It doesn't label someone as married or unmarried, worthy or forsaken. It simply aligns your life with the lessons your soul still needs to master. The Buddha once said, "Attachment leads to suffering, non-attachment leads to liberation." Some are called to walk through life without a partner, not because they reject love, but because they are being called toward something far more subtle, something that cannot be seen with the eyes or touched by hands. Something like freedom, self-discovery, or the slow untangling of karmic knots tied long before this lifetime began. Let us walk deeper into this truth through the story of one such soul. A soul whose path was carved in silence, not by accident, but by design. He walked many paths, crossed many glances, laughed beside others, sat at fires, watched stars scatter over oceans of stillness, and yet no hand ever stayed in his, no promise ever lingered on his breath. Many tried, some came close, but something invisible always stood between. The warmth would fade, the closeness would slip away, and again he stood alone, not in bitterness, but in stillness, like a river that flows around stones, not against them. In youth, he thought love would come to him. Then, he thought he must chase it. And then, much later, he stopped thinking altogether. He began listening, not with ears, but with presence, with inner stillness. And one night, beneath a tree, he asked the silence the single word, "Why?" No voice answered, not in sound, but in knowing. And this is what the silence said: "You were not born to repeat the scripts others follow. Your karma does not bend toward union. It stretches toward awakening." From that moment on, sorrow turned into wonder. The ache became a question. Not, "Why me?" but, "What truth am I being led toward?" Every soul carries threads from former lives, attachments, regrets, forgotten promises, and unfinished vows. Marriage, when viewed through karma, is not a milestone, it is a contract between souls, renewed only when it serves growth. For some, that contract is already complete, not because they were denied love, but because the karmic chapter on union had already closed. What remained was a different vow, an inner promise to oneself. In many lifetimes before, he had known marriage. In some, he held too tightly. In others, he walked away too soon. And in one life, a painful one, his beloved waited for him faithfully until death, but he never returned. That broken thread left sorrow, not just for her, but for the soul he carried forward. And so, in this life, karma did not punish him, it protected him. It weaved a life of solitude, not to isolate, but to balance, not to deprive, but to heal. It gave him space to remember who he was without needing someone beside him. And in that space, something beautiful bloomed. Zen teaches that solitude is not loneliness. It is the return to your original self. The master once said, "When you are alone and do not feel lonely, you have entered the realm of truth." He began to live that. No more waiting for someone to share a meal. No more longing for someone to greet him at the door. He became his own companion, his own sanctuary. Every evening, he lit a candle, not hoping someone would arrive, but to honor the one who had stayed, his own soul. And in time, he discovered that marriage is not the only form of intimacy. He became intimate with silence, with beauty, with breath, with stillness. He walked beside rivers, and they spoke to him. He looked at the moon, and felt it kiss his forehead. He watched children play, and felt as if the whole world was his family. People asked, "Why did you never marry?" He would smile and say gently, "I did," to the present moment. And karma, like a quiet gardener, was tending his inner forest all along. Those who marry walk one path. Those who remain unmarried walk another. Both can bloom, if walked with awareness. For him, solitude was not confinement. It was liberation. It meant freedom from expectations, from obligations not meant for him. It meant mornings in meditation, days in reflection, nights in stillness. And though he had no spouse, he gave more love than most. He served the sick, fed the hungry, taught the young, listened to the broken-hearted. His life was not small. It was limitless. Sometimes karma creates solitary souls, not to keep love away, but so that love can be given freely, without distraction or possession. Yes, even he faced temptation. A woman once came into his life, eyes like the dawn, a love that could set forests on fire. And for a while, he considered it. But when he looked into his heart, he didn't see passion. He saw peace. And peace whispered, "You are not meant to hold a hand. You are meant to hold the world." He let her go. She wept. He stayed silent, not because he didn't care, but because he cared enough to be honest, to walk alone, yet feel full. That is a sign of spiritual maturity. As the years passed, he grew more luminous. He had married no one, and yet he had united with everything. The Zen masters say, when the self disappears, the whole universe becomes your beloved. He sat in forests. He sat in storms. He sat in joy. He sat in pain. And through every sitting, he went deeper. Eventually, he stopped thinking about karma altogether. He became karma itself, action without attachment, love without clinging, life without hesitation, and in that space, he proved what few understand. Those who walk alone are never truly alone. They are held by silence, by sky, by something greater. And so, when someone asks, "Why didn't I marry?" Zen does not answer with words. It answers with awakenings. Let us now walk further into those teachings, into the truths karma whispers to those whose path unfolds in sacred solitude. 4. Being unmarried does not mean you are unloved. Solitude has its own language. It speaks not through noise, but through awakening. In Zen, it is taught that only the one who walks alone can come face to face with the raw truth of existence, without mirrors, without distractions, without roles to perform. This is not punishment. This is presence. The Buddha himself sat alone beneath the Bodhi tree, not because he lacked love, but because in the silence of solitude, the deepest truths were allowed to rise without interference. In the same way, a soul that remains unmarried may not be absent from love, but instead deeply immersed in an inner training, a retreat, a cave of spirit where the quiet flame of awakening is slowly and steadily kindled. 5. Love without attachment is the highest form. To remain unmarried is not to be loveless. It is to be called toward a different kind of love, one that does not grasp, one that does not possess. Many believe love is about holding tightly, but Zen breaks this illusion. The highest form of love is not tethered by need. It is a spacious presence, like sunlight, warm and generous, but never clinging. An unmarried soul may still love deeply. They may radiate warmth to elders, children, strangers, animals, with no need for return. Their heart is vast and gentle, like an open sky, embracing all, needing none. In Buddhist philosophy, the Bodhisattva is the one who chooses to remain, not to seek comfort or marriage, but to liberate all beings. They walk among us with quiet eyes, soft steps, and open hearts, blessing without expectation, loving without chains. This is the love of the awakened. 6. When desire knocks, silence may answer. Desire still visits the solitary. They are human, after all, but Zen teaches a different response. Observe desire like a passing cloud. Watch it float. Do not chase it. Do not run from it. Just see it and let it pass. To walk without marrying doesn't mean one never feels longing, but they have cultivated a listening so clear they can sense when desire is truth and when it is merely distraction, a flicker from the ego, or a whisper from fear. Sometimes, walking away from someone you could love is not a denial of love. It is an embrace of truth, a truth deeper than comfort, bolder than romance, and that choice to honor silence over desire is one of the rarest forms of courage. 7. Some souls are meant to unite with the entire universe. In Zen, we are taught, when you drink tea, just drink tea. When you walk, just walk. And when you live, truly live. You become married to the moment itself. The unmarried soul may experience a deeper union than many, not with one person, but with all of existence. They walk with full awareness. They love with every breath. They are not swept by emotional storms or tied in ego dramas. Their love becomes clear, wide-reaching, and all-encompassing. Some souls are not here to say, "I do." They are here to say, "I am." And in every step they take, they whisper that vow again and again, to the sky, to the silence, to the moment. 8. Not every soul loves the same way, just as the sea does not imitate the mountain. Not every soul is meant to love in the same form. Some have loved and lost in lives before. Some have been betrayed. Some have vowed long ago to walk this life alone, until a certain truth is remembered. The path of celibacy is not always about denial. For many monks, it was a clarity, a karmic knowing. They did not marry not because they could not, but because their soul had different work to do. The love they carried was not romantic. It was universal, inward, radiant, free, and for some, this life is the continuation of that vow. A vow made long before birth, waiting now to be fulfilled. 9. The light they carry illuminates others. Have you ever noticed how some of the most peaceful people, the most calming presences, walk alone? Their solitude is not empty. It's rich, alive, full of unseen roots, because their energy is not tied to roles. It's not narrowed to one relationship. It flows into teaching, into creating, into holding space for others to heal. These are the silent sages, the healers, the guides, not by job title, but by presence. Their words awaken, their gaze comforts, their stillness says more than sound ever could. Karma never wastes a path, and solitude is never sterile. It is simply a different kind of richness. 10. Acceptance unlocks peace. Resistance breeds suffering. And finally, the greatest lesson: to walk the karmic path of non-marriage is not to suffer. It is to accept. Zen reminds us, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. When the soul resists, when it constantly asks, "Why not me?" suffering grows. But when the soul bows to what is, when it sits in silence and listens, peace arrives. The absence of marriage is no longer a scar. It becomes a sacred sign. The solitude is no longer punishment. It becomes power. You were not forgotten. You were chosen, not left behind, but called forward, called to serve in a different way, called to love in a higher form. This path is not broken. It is simply different, and it is beautiful. Closing reflection: you are not missing a piece. You are becoming whole. In the language of karma, no path is ever wasted. Every step is counted. Every silence is sacred. So sit beneath your own body tree. Light the lamp within and listen. Not all vows are spoken with rings. Some are spoken in silence and lived through every breath you take. This is your karmic grace. This is your sacred liberation. If this message touched something deep within you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell to stay connected, and share this with someone who may need to hear it. Let's grow together, not through noise, but through presence. Thank you for walking this path with me. Until next time, stay grounded, stay awake, stay whole.